Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello. We can't see your
Hi,
face.
Carly just joined us as well. Well, we're getting a full house this morning, aren't we?
And we're all in different time zones too, which is really
Yeah.
cool.
Hi, Johnny.
Am I the only, can I just ask, am I the only one where it's still Thursday?
No, Dr. Kim's just about to join as well. So,
Oh, Kim, yeah, Kim's the same time zone as me.
Yeah, it's
Thursday here in Michigan too.
Thursday here in California.
California.
Okay,
Awesome.
cool.
Wow, we certainly have an international cast this morning, don't we?
Wonderful.
Beautiful.
Welcome everyone. So what are we doing now? It should be about right to start, I think, and if anyone else joins in, we'll just add them later.
Oh, and we've got Dr. Kim too, by the look.
We have indeed. So perhaps just to start off with, if we've got just say who we are and where we're from, that would be a good quick intro. And so let's see, on order of my screen, Vicky.
Montreal, Canada. So it's 7:30 at night, Thursday.
Very good, Carly.
It's in New Zealand, and it's 11:30 Friday morning.
Julie.
I'm in New Zealand too. We're both in Wellington, and it's 11:30
Awesome.
Friday morning.
Johnny Williams.
I am in San Jose, California, and it's 4:30 in the afternoon on Thursday.
Wow. Joe Summer.
I'm over in Michigan. It's 7:30 on Thursday evening.
And that's a lovely background picture. Actually, both of you guys got lovely background pictures there. Dr. Kim, welcome.
Hello, I'm in New Jersey and it's 7:30 p.m. Thursday. Great to be with you all.
Awesome. Carly.
Hi, I'm near Sydney, so it's 9:30.
That's great.
2 hours difference.
We've got Kim Tran calling us from Canada, from America as well, but I'm not sure if she can speak.
She is from Seattle, Washington, and it is 4:30.
Well done. Well, Kim's actually driving, so we'll just be mindful of that and not ask her to say too much. So for you guys who are new, can I just ask Johnny and Joe, have you attended any of the Noble Goldman calls before?
Go ahead, Johnny.
Is that me? Okay. I've been to the morning meetings with Mark, and I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And that's why I joined this group, because I've seen you on YouTube, and I was like, I gotta be there. I gotta be there.
Awesome.
Tony.
Thank you. That's great to hear. And Joe, have you been involved in any of the calls before?
I've been part of Noble Goldman for about 11 days or so, 11, 12 days. I've been part of Quantum Elite for probably closer to 2 months. I've sat in on quite a few Zoom calls. This would be a first one with you. I know I recognize Vicky and I recognize Julie, and Callie I recognize. Dr. Kim, I think I've seen her once before as well. So I'm starting to see some familiar faces.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Well, we're a community here, so you will see the same faces popping up. And one of the beauties of what we're doing is you can drop in on any of the mastermind calls that are open calls. So you can sort of try a few different ones out, depending on what works for you in your time zone and around your life commitments. And obviously we all know that sometimes things come up, so we can't always make every call, but there are, you know, a whole menu of calls that you can jump in on. So what we'll be doing, I run one on a Tuesday afternoon, our time zone, that's Perth time zone, which is 5:30 p.m. And this one this morning is 7:30 a.m. in Perth. And so the one on the Friday now, for the next few weeks, we will be working our way through the Think and Grow Rich book and just discussing the learnings, the lessons, the implications of what we've discovered. And as I said in the notes this morning, again, don't worry if you haven't had a chance to read it all, because I know that things get in the way sometimes. We all would ideally like to get through it all, and I have read the book a few times, but it's I'm refreshing with it as well myself. But don't let that stop you from joining in, because you can still be involved in the conversation. You'll still get points. I mean, just be honest about it and say, look, I didn't get a chance to read it. That's fine. Everyone knows. And then, there's no judgment. There's no, you're not going to get any black marks or made to stand in the naughty corner or anything like that. So what I'd like to just start off by saying is that Think and Grow Rich is often mistaken for being only about money. A lot of people have the preconception because of the title that it is all about being rich. And because so many people can have different attachments to money or different ways of looking at it, that actually can put some people off the concept, because they think, well, if they've got an association that rich equals bad in some way, that you've got to be, ruthless or exploitative or, not a nice person in order to be rich. We can dispel those myths, and we certainly do as we go through the book. But the other thing about the book is it's not just about money. It's about being rich in spirit as well, rich in your soul and rich in the way that you interrelate with other human beings on the planet. So that's the first point that I just wanted to get across to people. I'm sure you probably had that realization yourselves from reading it. So chapter 1 was Thoughts Are Things, and something I've always firmly believed in, that everything starts with an idea. So what I just ask is, if you can, when you're not speaking, just mute yourself so there's no background noises or anything, because we've got a reasonable sized group this morning. And if you do want to jump in, just raise your hand. If hopefully I can see you on the screen, or you've got the button there you can press also that you can raise hand. And of course, you've got the full range of emotions on the reactions button down the bottom there, so you can show support for what people have said, or applaud it, or put a smiley face or whatever you like, or a love heart, which whatever suits, whatever you feel about what somebody said. And we'll just go through now. I'll just share the screen and we'll go through the Noble Goldman principles. So that establishes a nice framework, I think, for us to get started with. Okay, can somebody give me a thumbs up to say you can see the screen all right? Thank you, Joe. And so, oh, hang on. You know what I've gone and done? Sorry, I'll just stop that for a second. I'll just give everybody a number, and I can't do that if I can't see all your faces. Rookie error there. Okay, so let's see who was on the call first. I think Coralie, you were one of the first, weren't you? So Coralie, you can go number 1. I think Vicky was number 2. Julie, number 3. Don't blame me if I got these slightly wrong. We can work around it. There's no judgment in the number you get. Johnny, you can be number 4. Joe will get you to follow along number 5. Who have I got? Carly, number 6. Dr. Kim, number 7. And I won't ask Kimmy T to join in on that just because she's driving and I don't want to put her under that pressure. And we've got Kobe just joining us as well. So Kobe can come in at number 8. And I'll go number 9. Okay. So just all you've got to do is remember the person that you're after, really, and be ready to read your bit. So so Kobe, welcome to the call, and you'll be number 8 on the list, coming after Dr. Kim. So we'll just share that screen again. All right, Coralie, would you like to kick us off?
Sure. The purpose of the Mastermind is to learn leadership, build teams, and create multiple sources of income together.
We are here to inspire and challenge each other to reach and exceed goals.
And number 3, Julie. You're muted, Julie.
Sorry about that. Each member is committed to their own success, as well as the success of every member of the group.
We are committed to meeting in person or virtually for 1 hour every week.
We are present. There is no multitasking or distractions during meetings.
We are collaborative. We listen without interrupting, lecturing, or judging.
Dr. Kim.
We celebrate each other's successes without jealousy.
We are
Ruby.
honest and participate by giving thoughtful feedback.
We are open and listen to different perspectives without being defensive or offering excuses.
We trust fellow members enough to share fully.
We are focused, but we also think it's important to have fun during meetings.
Absolutely.
Oh,
There we go.
we are. Can you hear me? Yes, you can. Sorry. Lost my place. We are real and authentic. This is a non-BS zone.
And Johnny? Johnny,
We allow ourselves to become completely aligned with each other and the high forces. One mind, one soul, one love.
Noble Goldman International is a conscious, aware, and engaged global community of abundance and freedom creators.
Our mission is to create 1 million millionaires who are free from the time for money paradigm. We focus on creating multiple streams of income through masterminding, team building, and the effective utilization of the internet-based platforms.
The mastermind becomes an opportunity for self-mastery, where the self-transcendent shift from the me to the we to the us occurs. As congruence and engagement increases, the world's consciousness is then raised, one meaningful and inspired relationship at a time.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for doing that. I do love that it sets the tone for the meeting and the kind of the guidelines of how we should operate. And also just the point is that is all based on Napoleon Hill's teachings. This is what Mark Santos, the founder of Noble Goldman, has used as his foundation, if you like, for the principles and the values of the whole structure of Noble Goldman. And so here we are, all these years later, reading the work of Napoleon Hill. For those who read the introduction, you'd know that he was encouraged to do this and by Carnegie, and went out and interviewed 500, I believe, of the most successful businessmen across America to find out what were the common threads, the common principles of why they were so successful. So this is based on factual research. It's not just something that somebody has made up as a sort of fanciful notion. It's actually backed by actual results by people who have been there and done it. So, okay, who would like to start off with your observations or anything that leapt out at you and occurred to you from chapter 1, Thoughts Are Things? Somebody brave enough to go first?
I will. I can remember I first started my development with this profound sort of realization, and it was I was working away in my pottery studio years ago, feeling totally bogged down by life completely, and somebody introduced me to John Keogh. I don't know whether anybody knew about him. John Keogh was Canadian, and he took himself off to the woods because he'd just had enough of life and took to work things out. And I can still hear his voice and his big, strong accent and saying, "Thoughts are real forces." So, yeah, and that was the first time that I ever thought, well, how can a thought be a force? Yeah, it was sort of a real boom, you know, it was a real boom sort of experience. Boom.
Being hit by a thunderbolt, eh?
Yeah, how can your thought be a, you know, I mean, he says things, yeah, thoughts are things, so that they're, and that's the beginning of it, isn't it?
It is. We're all made up of energy that's vibrating when you think about it, you know, at a molecular or atomic level. we're constantly moving, where our cells are constantly regenerating every day, and we're made up of energy. So you know how some people you relate to and they're high vibration and upbeat, and have a sort of exude some kind of energy force about them that they light up a room when they walk in, whereas other people you may know and probably want to try to stay clear of them, that's completely the opposite and flat, and you sort of suck the life out of you and you don't want to get involved in it. And that might be what they're going through at the time.
You know those sort of things on a level, but I can remember at that stage that was just a blast. I thought, what? A thought has a force, or it was just something that hadn't even, at school or anything else, you'd never get even, well, in my day, you didn't any idea that that was even a possibility, Well, it certainly didn't in my world at the time, So it was, to me, to think that it was a force that had any influence or anything like that was bizarre.
Absolutely, and Napoleon Hill was actually quite critical of the education system, especially in his other book, Outwitting the Devil. He really laid into it, because this sort of thing should be getting taught in schools, and I don't know if it is today. I'm not. It's been a little while since I was involved in schools. There's a few teachers in the room, I know. So, but it is sort of, it's basic stuff. You think about the fact that when you think of someone, how often has it happened in your life that you then bump into them, or they give you a phone call, or they send you an email, or something happens? It's just, I was just thinking about you the other day, and they turn up.
Absolutely.
You've all experienced it. I know you have. So there has to be something in it, that a thought is not just a nothing. A thought is an energy that you're sending out there. And bear in mind, this is all part of the teachings as well, but we are all connected. And some people may challenge that or not quite understand it, but you will as you go through more of the studies that are available to you on Noble Goldman. So keep an open mind about that if you haven't been convinced of that concept yet. Okay, Johnny, thank you.
Oh, thank you, Tony. And thank you for sharing that, Julie. That was really nice. For me, the concept of a thought being a thing, and I got this from studying Napoleon Hill, is that nothing in creation, at least nothing that we call material, existed before it was a thought. Someone had to think up everything in the rooms that you're all in right now. The cup that she's drinking from, the earphones on Vicky's head, the glasses on Kobe's face, that red shirt that Joe is wearing. All these things started out as an idea in someone's mind before they became the reality that we see before us today. So when I hear thoughts of things, they literally are. Nothing that we see in this material world would be manifest without it having first been thought by someone. So that's what jumps out at me, the fact that we are energy that gets transmuted into matter, or what appears to be matter, because we're all connected, it's all energy, and these machines only allow us to perceive what appears to be reality. But I just wanted to drop that comment on how I feel about thoughts being things. Thank you.
Excellent. Good pickup. Thanks, Johnny. That's very, very well shared. Kobe. Are you muted, Kobe?
It also places an enormous responsibility on us. When I was told that thoughts are things, I was going through the processes of wanting a divorce. I had an internal battle going on in my head and in my body. And so that really threw me, like, I'm thinking about this. Is it wrong? What do I do now? And it threw me into an internal conflict, because I understood immediately that it was absolutely true. And yet there was all this stuff going on in my life at the time, and I didn't know how to deal with that information. It was really, really hard And then I forgave myself for what I was going through and decided that, well, you know, I really need to take this one step at a time. And that's in the end what I did. So I didn't drive myself insane. And I would then, you know, like when I'd have these thoughts or try to get rid of the emotions that were attached to those thoughts, I would go out there, I would write them down on a piece of paper and burn them, and just ask the universe to transmute them through fire, because you do have to deal with your emotions. And yeah, I just had to learn that bit by bit. But when I first heard those words, thoughts are things, I thought, oh my God, what do I do with that?
That's great, Kobe. Great observation, because it can be confrontational. And I'd just like to actually use Mark Santos's words in this to say to people on the calls, if there's anything that's a challenge for you to accept, because you know we're reading an author's opinions or an author's ideas, you can push back. Mark says push back on things, because that's how we learn. That's how when we challenge ideas. And so yes, depending on what you're going through at the time, that can be quite confrontational. To be told it's your fault, like you got yourself in this situation. But if you can accept that the decisions, the thoughts and the decisions that we make get us to a certain point in life, then it also follows that we can get ourselves somewhere else, wherever we want to be. So things may temporarily not be going well in your world, and we all obviously experience setbacks and adversity and, you know, relationship breakups and business setbacks, and we all go through those things. You know, none of us are impervious to it. At some point you'll be tested. So when someone's standing there going, well, you know, you've thought your way into this situation, it might not be what you want to hear at the time. But the good news is it does also mean that you can think your way out of it. You can find a solution and work your way towards it. So that's a great share. Thanks, Kobe, for that. Oh, you want to add something?
Have you heard the statement, the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off? Well, it pissed me off. Big time.
Very good. All right, who else? Vicky.
So I'm with Kobe, so I'm divorced, and I ended a second relationship a year ago. Not easy, but sometimes, you know what? It's not a bad thing. Sometimes things are just not meant to work out, and it's just a matter of accepting it and moving forward. So I talk about that a lot. So I've been a social worker for 25 years. I'm a former therapist. You know, my area is loss and grief. Not really an area a lot of people want to focus on or delve into, but we all deal with it. Because loss to me is not just loss, meaning death. It's loss of a relationship, loss of a job, loss of health, loss of finances, loss of a home, car, whatever it is. So to me, it's a matter of switching it around to something positive. So while the area itself for a lot of people is negative and not the best, I try to make it positive and say it's a matter of journeying forward. It's part of the process. So it's a matter for me of switching the wording. So when I think of Napoleon Hill, it's the second time I'm reading this book, and it's interesting that Tony's starting this, and I literally was just on chapter 2 when he announced he was doing this. For me, it focuses on desire. It focuses on what your purpose is. And a lot of people, I think, struggle sometimes knowing what their purpose is. Mm-hmm. And it might take something like a serious event, health issue, divorce, whatever, a loss of some sort, to really make you focus. So I like to think of a camera lens. So you have that fuzzy lens where like everything's not so great and you're trying to get things, you know, more clear. That's to me what this is. So it's a matter of adjusting the lens to make it more clear, which is part of the thought process, part of the mindset, but it's also a lot to do with acceptance. You have to accept, integrate, acknowledge, and be willing to move forward. And sometimes people can't do that on their own. So one of the things, and I'll say I've been part of Noble Goldman since last June, and I have nothing but lovely things to say about the community. I love everything about it. I love all the masterminds. I facilitate a lot my own, but I always come to Tony's because, and there's others I always go to also because it's something about their personality, something about themselves that draws me there, right? Something about the subject that they choose. But Noble Goldman's supportive, it's encouraging, it holds you accountable. There's so much there that I'm eternally grateful for, and Tony knows this. I've talked about this a lot of my own journey in this past year. I'm not going to go into all that now, but I think going back to Napoleon Hill, I think it's having a desire, whatever that is for you. It could be a desire you want to move. It could be a desire you want a new job. It could be a desire you want a new relationship. But then you have to make it happen. Like you have to believe in it so much and want it so much. And that's what really I think he talks about, is being so focused, like laser focused. So think of that red laser focus kind of thing that like I would use for my cats to play with, but it's, you know, very focused. If you can be that way in your mind and in your mindset, you can get there.
Mhm.
So I think that's what I would add.
Awesome, Vicky, and thanks for the endorsement there. And
I'm being honest, you know me, I always give praise when it's due. I mean, if you know, if it's not praise, I would do it privately, so I wouldn't do it here.
I think that's a great point that you've raised, that the when you find yourself in adversity, it is very often the catalyst for change. And it's you know, Napoleon Hill says somewhere else in the book, I can't remember exactly where, that, you know, opportunity is often comes disguised as adversity. And so it's what we make of it. You know, Wayne Dyer said that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So it's all about our perspective and the spin that we put. You know, spin's such a great word these days. And, you know, you hear on the news bulletins, you can spin a story whatever way you want to spin it, you know, to get the reaction you want from the readers or the listeners or the viewers on TV or whatever. How we spin our own story is our choice. And so we can spin it and spiral downwards, or we can spin it and start to spiral our way upwards as well in an emotional and vibrational sort of sense. So that's a great observation, Vicky. Thank you. That, you know, very much it's about turning.
Can I add just one thing, if you don't mind?
I don't mind at all.
I think for all of us, we all have a story. And I think that our story, even if it helps only one other person, there's a purpose there.
Yeah.
So I've always made a point to tell my story, and I've had quite a story most of my life, but I do it from a social work perspective. I do it from an awareness perspective and advocating perspective, because if anything I've gone through and I've been able to journey forward and move through can help somebody else, to me, there's a benefit to sharing it. So I think a lot of people hesitate sometimes.
Hold on, sorry.
I'm just going to mute you for a second. You want to just turn your phone off because you've got both your phone and your PC on, I think. Sorry, Vicky, carry on.
No, so I think my point is that if you can find a way to share parts of your story, parts of your journey, whether it's on social media, writing, in a mastermind, there's always a benefit to somebody else that maybe you don't realize or think of. And I think, to me, that's part of it. It's about us sharing and encouraging and supporting others. And if we feel comfortable enough and are willing to be vulnerable, which is not easy for a lot of people, somebody else usually can benefit from it. Like they pick up a piece of whatever story or a piece of our own story that they can relate to, if that makes sense. So I really strongly encourage that. And again, I'm coming from a social work perspective, but I also come from a heart center perspective. So that's all.
Thanks, Vicky. That's great. And I think also for Johnny and Joe as newcomers to the groups, or relative newcomers, that's something you'll see time and again in our Noble Goldman community, is just by sharing even a comment. You know, sometimes you might sit there and think, oh, I'll let the others speak, or I haven't really got anything to add. Sometimes your own throwaway comment that you think might not be that significant can just resonate with somebody else on the call, and it's just exactly what they need to hear at that moment. Then it could be life-changing. You just don't know. So you know, I'd encourage you all to speak up. Welcome, Kimmy. We see you finally. Made it home safely from work. That's good. Who'd like to say anything else about what you got out of chapter 1 about thoughts of things? Anything else? Yes, Kim, please.
So the thoughts are things I've become really aware the last few years of what I say, in that, oh, if someone will say something to me, I'm like, don't even plant that seed. I don't want it to grow.
Yeah.
So I've been really aware of, I don't want to plant that seed either. But at the same time, I have done some exercises of, some people would call it creative visualization, but it's a verbal visualization where you talk about as if things have already happened. And several times, those things that I said 15 months ago, 16 months ago, all of a sudden they're here. You know, so it really, I've had both positive and negative things where, no, I don't want to grow that, to why can't that happen? And I'm just going to put it out there. And then I seem to move forward towards it. So not even necessarily tangible things right away, but it does change what we do and where we go.
That's such a great share, because I think you must have been listening in my household, because that's exactly what my wife and I say to each other all the time. And that's a great thing about having a partner around too. You know, we're all human, and we all sometimes blurt out the, oh no, I suppose this is going to happen, or I hope that's not going to happen. And you go, what did you say that for? What did you put it? And we pick each other up on it and go, yeah, that's a great idea. Put that one out to the universe, you know, see if that comes back. Okay, I'll change that. Think something different, say something different. And words are powerful. What we say, we can talk it into existence. So positive or negative, you know, or empowering or disempowering. Yeah, for sure. Anything else from chapter 1? No? Oh yes, please, Joe.
I just want to throw it out there that I have not read the book yet. I was in a previous Zoom and I was asking them, because it's been suggested to me to read the book quite a few times, and I went on my Audible so I can listen to it, and there's so many titles. Well, in the previous Zoom, like an hour ago, they were telling me to get the original. So hopefully as soon as tomorrow, I will start listening, and then I'll be able to better join in the conversation. But for now, I'm just enjoying listening and learning, and it seems pretty interesting, you know, thus far of what's been going on. So now I'm probably just going to hide in the background today and just listen and absorb.
Thanks for your honesty there, Joe. And like I said before, it's not a judgment in any way. Everyone has, life gets in the way, and you fully intend to do something, and you know, you don't get around to it for whatever reason. If anything occurs to you from what you're hearing anyway, chip in, because it'll still be relevant. You know, you don't necessarily have to have read the book to get something or to add something to these calls. So even, you know, a little story or what somebody's just said has resonated with you is just as valuable. And you will find we do go off on tangents too. We don't stick strictly to the script here. So Kobe,
what you guys were saying about don't be afraid to speak your piece or your mind about a situation like that hit hard when I first joined into this community. There was Matthew Gardner. He kind of, I don't know if intimidated is the right word, but he kind of like scared me a little bit, telling me like my voice is powerful, you know, speak more often. And that kind of shied me away, and I went quiet again for a little bit, and I realized, wow, this isn't helping me either. I need to go back and you know, be a little more open and get back into just speaking freely, because like you said, you never know what you might share that could change another person's life, perspective, thought process, and all of that. So yeah, I agree with you on that.
Even just sharing that, see, that can make a difference to somebody else, you know, that's thinking about speaking and holds back, you know. So that's great. Thanks, Joe. Kobe, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I haven't read the book either. It's one of those things that I've been planning to do. I'm reading other books at the moment, but it's just never really done it. And so it looks like that's a job to do too.
Well, look, Joe had a fair excuse, but you've got no excuse. That's not good enough, Kobe.
I didn't know that's what your mastermind was about, to be honest.
Love it.
I haven't read the book either, Cody.
Oh my goodness. Am I the only one who's read this book?
Yeah, can we have a hands up of who has read the book?
Well, that's fine. Like I said, it doesn't matter because you're going to learn. If anything, you're the smart ones. You're leveraging your time. You're just getting all the wisdom sucked out of the book being fed to you without having to do the hard work of actually reading the book. But what I will say is, just to add to that, whenever you read the book, you'll get something different out of it because you're at a different point in your life. So I've read it, I don't know, maybe 3 times over the years. I probably read it first of all as a young man. And I was thinking this morning, why didn't I apply everything I read in that book? Well, there's another thing in the book that says you have to be ready. You know, you have to, it's about your own journey, your own evolution as you go along. We all learn things as we go through life. You might hear something at one point in your life and it doesn't make any, you know, it's not relevant to you. And then suddenly you hear it again and it's right on the money and it's exactly what you need to hear. So that's why we go back through these things and why this book in particular has influenced so many people through so many generations. So, yeah, thank you all for your honesty on that one. But like I said, there's no judgment and we all can have some fun and learn anyway. Johnny, please.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tony. So I'm going to chime in again since it's okay for us to just relax and talk and we're building community here. I have read this book many times. As a matter of fact, I read the original, and because it's based on this book, which is you can't see that. It's the Law of Success. It's the very large Law of Success, and I've been studying this since I was exposed to it from 1956 to 1959 by my great aunt, as she babysat me. So, and I'll be 65 this year. And so I have been immersed in Napoleon Hill philosophy for probably 5 decades. And I'll tell you this, I'm telling you this quick little story so that those who haven't read the book will perhaps pick it up and understand that I'm putting it to the test right now. So what happened for me, and I'll be 65 years old. I last year did a series of videos on this book. I went back and read them all, and I decided to record a video for each chapter. And then I said, well, you know what? If I'm promoting Napoleon Hill's philosophy, I should live Napoleon Hill's philosophy and put this book to the test. And I had never done that in all the years of reading it and studying it and talking to people about it. I had never really put everything to the test. This group right here, this mastermind that I'm in part of right now today, is a manifestation of me putting this book to the test. A year ago, a little bit over a year and a half ago, after I'd finished that series of videos, I wrote down a definite chief aim and a series of goals, and I tried to establish a mastermind of my own. Now, I've worked every day toward that definite chief aim, and my life has changed dramatically, I'm telling you, in the last year, to the point where when it was time for me to become part of my mastermind, to meet a group of people who are gathered energetically, because that's what this is. This is an energetic gathering of like-minded individuals who are vibrating in a kind of a synchrony. And we have come together at this time in this place, from all over the world, to share this moment. It's very special to me right now because I've had ups, I've had downs. Today was a particularly stressful day for me. And right now, especially with you being here, Tony, and I don't want to, again, I'm throwing props out to you because it was the interaction I saw you having with Martin and his mother on one of you guys's master. It was a very small group. I think Kali was there, and I could feel the truth and energy that this was a mastermind that was truly devoted to the concept of a mastermind, of collaboration and growth and a supportive community. And so as I'm growing, I'm realizing that Napoleon Hill and his philosophy is true. Everything about the book is true. Everything about our fears and releasing our fears is true. And For those who haven't read the book, you can get online. It's free. Get online and just Google it and read it. And like I said, I did a series of videos. If you go to my, not to push my own, but I did some videos on this very subject, and I'm putting it to the test right now, and I'm telling you it works. So I hope I get to see every one of you again when this mastermind gathers, because I can feel a kind of an energy, and I want to continue to be part of it. And thank you for letting me speak, Tony. And I have a tendency to talk too much, and I don't want to appear that way pushy or long-winded. So thank you very much.
You're certainly not that. Thank you so much, Johnny, for sharing that. And wow, 65, man, you don't look it. Does anyone else think Johnny looks? I don't think you look that at all. And good to know you've got at least another 55 more years to put all these principles
I got more. I have more than that. Thoughts are things. Age is your thinking age. That's a thing. It's just a matter of that's why I don't look 65. Yeah. I don't look it because I don't think it. And sorry. Okay.
You're right on the money there. I was listening to a video with Sadhguru last night, and it's absolutely amazing. The power of energy is unbelievable. It's so it permeates everything. You know, positive energy, positive attitude. You can do so much more with that. So that's great. Thanks, Johnny. And I'll definitely want to check out your videos. So we'll friend up afterwards, and we'll do that.
I would hope so. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. Thank you for those kind words. Who else would, anything else that you want to share, or should we move on to chapter 2? Is everyone complete with chapter 1 at this point of what you've got out of it? That whatever we can conceive and believe we can achieve, as Johnny's just proven, it works. Okay. Well, chapter 2 is about desire. So that not just hoping or wishing for a thing. You know, you can want to win the lottery, but you've got to buy the ticket, you know. You've got to put some effort in. And one thing actually for me that came up that I'll just mention, I do see some contradictions sometimes in the book and in all authors' work. You know, there are the odd unresolved issue, or you could interpret it to suit yourself. In one area, he's saying that it's not a matter of hard work, that you don't have to exert yourself or, you know, work really hard to get these results. But in another area, he's saying, but you won't get anywhere if you're being lazy. So there is, you have to take action. You know, I think that's the thing that was supposedly missing from The Secret, is it's not enough to just go, I'm just going to think myself rich and it's all just going to turn up. You actually have to do something as well. So you have to put all these thoughts into effect and be willing to learn, to expand your consciousness, but to do something that's going to get you the results that you're looking for. Okay, so what else? Desire. Who has anything to say about the topic in chapter 2 of desire? Well, I'll just have to ask all those people who have read the book, obviously. Oh dear. Yeah, Kobe, go on.
If your desire in your conscious mind is one thing, and it doesn't align with your unconscious thoughts, it can create can create a lot of internal conflict, blocks or whatever. So we're people that operate on more than two levels. Hell, what am I saying? 2 levels, but we operate on so many different levels. But if what we've been taught and unconsciously believe doesn't align with our conscious desires, that can create disharmony. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that.
That's so true. Great observation. We do have to be in alignment. You know, like I said before, we have to be ready. And being ready, we're ready incrementally. You don't just usually go from nothing to overnight success. You know, there is that cliched overnight success. We all have to put some work in, and we all have to work on ourselves to be ready. Kobe, yes.
But we don't know. We don't know if we're ready or not. We can think ourselves to being ready. We can be, yeah, I'm ready for this now. And then we try to do things and it's like running into a roadblock over and over again. And it comes back to our unconscious mind. So we can consciously believe that we're ready. So that statement that you have to be ready is true, but does it, and I haven't read it, I've already confessed, but does it actually outline that there are different levels of readiness? Because there are lots of different levels of readiness, and so reaching for these goals can be, or reaching and following our desires can be incredibly disheartening if we don't understand the different facets of readiness.
Yes, that's true. I think with one of the biggest things he talks about in this chapter is that we will face adversity, we will face temporary defeat, but how we respond to that, if we're not ready, there's a good chance we'll quit at whatever it is we're trying to do at the time. And there's somewhere else in the book where they talk about quitting 3 feet from gold, or it might be in that chapter, I can't remember now. John, you'll have to pick me up on that one. So, you know, most commonly when we haven't put our armor around ourselves, when we haven't fortified ourselves with the mental fortitude to be able to keep going in the face of adversity, then it's so easy for us to quit. And that's why we come back to desire is really wanting the thing beyond the point where you're going to easily be put off by something not working out and feeling like you've not got there, or you're never going to get there. And bear in mind, we're governed a lot by our ego. You do a bit of study of Joe Dispenza's work, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he talks about the ego being that part of our brain that's there to protect us. It's there to make sure we don't get ourselves in danger and trouble. But it's also the thing that's sniping at us and undermining us and going, well, who do you think you are to do this? And, why don't you just keep quiet in the corner? All these other people know more than I do. I should just shut up and keep quiet, You've got to kind of be able to, as you do the spiritual work, you distance yourself to realize that your ego is not who you are. It's there that's going to sometimes self-sabotage you, but it's that voice that comes in, and it might be reminding you of your past experiences, or a parent perhaps telling you, or a teacher telling you that you're not good enough, you're never going to amount to anything. And then when something goes wrong, that little voice goes, aha, there you go, I told you, I told you back then you weren't going to work this out. So you've got to do the work on yourself to be able to also recognize when that is the ego kicking, that's just going, look, I'm just trying to keep you safe here so you don't carry on and stuff this up or embarrass yourself because you're going to keep going, trying to do something that's obviously not going to work. No, sometimes you have to go, I hear you. I know you're just trying to keep me safe, but shut up, little voice. I'm going to carry on and do this thing anyway, whatever it is. Does that make sense to anyone, or am I sounding a bit crazy out there?
No, that's called silencing the inner critic.
Yes, thank you. That's exactly what it is. So
the inner child.
Yes, yeah.
The one that's scared of, had experiences and wants to protect you, so you can tuck it up and put it in a nice little shoebox.
Yep, you have to sometimes put your big girl pants on, don't you, Julie?
Well, I don't know about that.
I don't put my big girl pants on, I put my big boy pants on, obviously. That
has a funny connotation, really.
Yes.
Bridget Jones or something.
That's right. Yeah, we do like to have a bit of fun on these calls as well.
Yeah, we have to, don't we? No, I just think it's, when you talked about that you have to work hard, and I think it's probably just the phraseology of the time or something. You have to be vigilant, I think, to the negative kind of voices in your head, because they are very, very destructive. So, you know, that's probably what they mean about working for it. But, you know, if you also become so identified with everything that you put out there, and if something happens, then you're just blowing, then that's not working hard either, is it? That's just working silly. So I guess there's lots of ways of phrasing it, because you were saying that you know, you should relax and let go. And I like a surrender. I agree with that. But you know, there's a different way of looking at it, I think, as to what hard work is.
That's a great observation, Julie. I totally agree with you on that. You had me thinking there, because you know, you can take it, the words, as meaning I've got to work my butt off, you know, I've got to go and physically get out there and get this stuff done, right? You can sometimes work a lot harder, but not a lot more productively.
No, and it becomes actually
work smarter.
Yeah, it's sort of like a self-punishment, really, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, because if we have it an association built that the only way you're going to get on is to work really hard, then that's what you try and do, and you work yourself into a burnout situation trying to get there. But
I did when I was a doctor, I would work 18 hours a day.
Yeah, and where does that get you?
Nowhere, just a bit tired.
You can do it for a while, but it's not sustainable, is it? You know, I think probably most of us have done it at some point. I certainly have. So it's not that's something definitely that comes through for me in that contradiction about working hard versus working smart. It's not, you know, you can't be lazy. You have to do the work. You have to put the action into effect of the principles.
In fact, you'll do it a lot better by being kind to yourself, rather than, you know, and I think that's how you approach that. Then yes, you know, maybe you are slacking. Like today, I'm on a big slack day. But then maybe my body needs that, you know, and sometimes you just need that to clear, you know, and not beat yourself up, and just go with the mood swings sometimes, because I think they're put there to sort of, you know, just allow yourself to be a little bit, you know, a little bit free for a bit, you know, and not, otherwise it becomes the slavery again, you know, that's like, keep it, you know, slash yourself on the back, get on with it, and hear those words. So it's just a matter of believing it, and then knowing that you can do it.
Thanks, Julie. Joe, you've made a good comment there in the chat box. Did you want to elaborate on that one at all? I'd like to encourage you to speak up.
So, I don't know how soon I should start this story, but basically I come from a poor family. I started working, well, I started pushing a lawnmower around at 12 to earn extra money. By the time I was 13, I was working with bricklayers. I was going to school full time and working 40 hours a week after school and all that. And I carried that tradition on. By the time I got out of high school, I already had the idea of money in my head. You got to work for it. And I worked many laborious jobs. I call myself a jackass of all trades, basically. I can build your entire house. I can totally rebuild your car, rebuild your boat. Like I can do it all. Unfortunately, my body doesn't allow me to do it no more, because I literally worked myself, like whatever you want to call it, this physical body I'm in, I worked it till there was nothing left. And I mean, when I had my slip and fall, which led me to become disabled, I drove truck. After I got done with my 16-hour days or 14-hour days in the truck, I would spend another 6 hours or so in the shop doing the warehouse, because I was truck driver and supervisor at the time. And then when I got out of work from there, I would go and help people, like fix their furnace or help them, you know, rebuild their house, or, you know, remodel the kitchen. Like I worked way harder than I should have. But I mean, in hindsight, as I sit here and look back at it, it brought me to where I am now, which is where I was supposed to end up anyway. So it kind of got me to realize, slow down, allow things to flow, be patient, don't push, just let it happen. So yeah, hopefully that kind of sums it up without spending a couple days on my life story because I could talk for hours on all the things I did wrong.
Thanks, Joe. Like, we'd love to hear your life story as well at some point. Oh, I'm getting some feedback there from somewhere. Sorry, yeah, I'd love to hear that story further, Joe. I'm just conscious we're running out of time for the call. So for those who haven't read it, I just wanted to pick out a couple of things there that was said in chapter 2, that he talks about turning your desires into gold, because a lot of, the title is Think and Grow Rich. So a lot of people are obviously thinking about rich, but also put this in context of, by this, he's also meaning rich in spirit, rich in your life terms as well. But he says, fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. Well, you can also add to that the exact things or, situation that you desire. So be clear. In other words, it takes a lot of us to get clarity. And it sounds there, Joe, with your story, we can so easily apply ourselves to working really hard because we think we've been programmed by parents perhaps, or teachers, or role models, that's how you get on in life. You have to work really hard for everything you got. I know my parents certainly did. And then you realize that, hang on, they might be working hard all their life and not getting anywhere. What's the difference? Well, in this book, in this chapter, he talks about knowing exactly what it is that you're trying to achieve, and then also determining what you're willing to give as the price. How hard are you willing to work for that, or what are you willing to do in order to get it? And obviously, like as Kobe said before, you have to be aligned with your own values. You have to, not be asking yourself to do things that you don't think are right, because that's not going to work. Have a definite plan for how you're going to get there, because otherwise we can end up chasing our tails so easily. We can go around putting out the fires, reacting, rather than having a plan that we're working towards, that's sequential, makes sense to us, that is going to flow, is going to get us to where we want to go. The fifth point he says in there is about writing down that clear plan. So summing up everything I've just said and putting it down on paper. And something might be old fashioned, maybe we put it down digitally these days. That's me, I write it down. But the writing it down crystallizes your thoughts. It clears your head, it gets it out on paper. And then somebody else was speaking about speaking it out loud too. When you speak out what your plan is, you also get the chance to kind of test yourself. Does this make sense? Have I thought through everything I need to think through? What do I mean by that? And so you get that clarity. The more you speak it out, you will speak it into existence, but you'll also get a bit more clarity. And that's why these mastermind calls can be so valuable, because in telling our truth, in speaking it out there, we get to self-examine, we get to test out our own theories, and we also get a bit of pushback sometimes from other people in the group. I go, well, have you thought about this? And what about that? And so this is why he then says the sixth point is to read your written statement out loud twice daily, once before retiring at night and once after you first get up in the morning. And that also ties in with Joe Dispenza's work about those are the 2 points where you've just come through from your subconscious, from your sleep pattern to your awakening pattern, and you're still in that sort of crossover phase. When you first wake up, you can remember your dreams, and then 5 minutes later you can't. Or is that just me? I don't know. But while you're still in that kind of transitional state, you can actually put that stuff into your subconscious. Bear in mind, that 67.3% of statistics are made up on the spot, right? 95% of our mind is subconscious. There's all the stuff that's going on below the surface. So if we can put in there the program we want to run, the thing we want to happen, it's going to keep working away, whirring away in the background, just like when you're trying to remember the name of that guy that was in that movie and it pops into your brain at 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, nowadays we've got Google, so we can avoid that. But, if you don't have Google handy, you go, what was the name of that thing? Yeah, your brain just carries on whirring away underneath, working at, going through all the files. What was that name? What was that name? So we can program the pattern we want for how we want to succeed and set that wheel in motion. Okay, well.
Can I just ask one question?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So I consider myself to be an incredibly free spirit, and I totally resist all these formulaic approaches that I keep hearing. You know, do this in the morning, do this at night, do this. And so I wanted to say, I'm sure some of you are also free spirits. So how do you deal with this formulaic approach to life? Because it doesn't seem to work that way for me.
Well,
and I have a really great life. So
just quit and give up, Dr. Kim. I'm joking. Had you going, didn't I? No. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Anyone want to answer that? It's not all about me.
I think we need to create our own formulas. I know that if I don't do certain things at certain times, it just doesn't happen. Like today, I didn't go for a walk, and I want to make it happen, but there's masterminds I want to do, all of these things. So I reckon it's about creating our own routines that suit us, rather than following a formula, someone else's formula and someone else's rules. I think that's about getting to know ourselves and honouring ourselves and self-love and all of that stuff. Yeah, and I don't even know if that's being a free spirit, Kim. I don't know. I just think that we just need to honour ourselves.
Johnny.
hey, Kobe, whatever you're doing is working, because you were absolutely glowing and look exquisite.
Oh, darling, I was out in the sun trying to get some vitamin D, and the house is cold, and this is my warm jacket, and I made this decision. I'm going to do this on my phone out in the garden, like Coralie obviously is doing, and I couldn't get it to work, so I got on here late. So thank you. Yeah.
Please receive my compliment. Please receive my compliment.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you, sweetheart.
Good pickup, Dr. Kim. Johnny,
Yeah,
you
thank
were
you,
going to
darling.
put something in there?
Well, I just wanted to just a little comment for Colby that when I teach MBSR, we do a thing called mindful walking. And so as long as you've got 5 feet of space, like you've got a lot of space there in your little office where you're at. So when you feel that desire that you need to get up and move, just get up and move. I walk back and forth just here, and it settles me and calms me and gives me grounding. So I just wanted to plant that little seed and just tell you that you can always get your walking accomplished. Just be cognizant of the space that we're blessed with. That's all.
I do
Right.
that.
Great.
I do that, and I've got a mini trampoline that I can bounce up and down on too, but I bet I won't do it.
Oh,
It's just the way my day's set out.
Yeah,
So
had that
tomorrow's
desire.
another day.
I'd just like to come on too with the free spirit bit, because I can't tell you how many professional development and gurus that I've followed, and Wayne Dyer was always one of my favorites. But I do agree when the disciplines come that you have to start writing these things down, and you have to start doing this, and you have to have a morning routine that includes this. I just can't stick to it. And I've always thought, even when a child, when I went to church and things, and we would sing the same things, and I hadn't have a clue what we were singing. If you repeat something and it becomes so ingrained that it's just habitual, to me it loses its meaning. It disappears through repetition. So yeah, there's the rebel, I don't know, rebel inside me that always says, no, I need a fresh approach sometimes. I need to follow what my authentic self feels. And sometimes it's not following somebody else's learning style, which is writing things down or whatever. And I do agree, writing things down helps, but all of it helps, but you've got to find your own balance that feels right for you. Otherwise, you're just being somebody else's idea of you.
Thanks, Julie. And thanks for asking that question, Dr. Kim, because I'd just like to put it to you that, we do get these instructions. I remember reading on a can of food somewhere or other, whatever it was, stand in boiling water for 2 minutes. Now, don't do that because you'll burn your feet. So some of these things sometimes are not meant to be taken literally. If you've, why people give you these formulas, this is just my opinion, okay, is that you have an audience there. Now, some of the audience have never done any of this stuff. They've never looked at any personal development stuff. And so you've got to give somebody something to get them started. And if they've never done anything like this, if they follow that instruction at least, then they're doing something. They're working in the right direction, which is, you know, applying the principles but not necessarily literally. So like you say, you adapt it.
Oh, okay. I get it. Sorry to interrupt.
That's all right. Good. that was the objective. We all want to get it, don't we? We all want to move forward. So yes, everything that's offered to you is offered with the best of intention, and it's offered to give you a framework that you can hang your hat on, so to speak. But if it doesn't work for you, you adapt it, you modify it, because we're all individuals. Like they say in that Life of Brian movie, yes, we're all individuals. So you can adapt it to suit your own situation, your own way of doing things, your own free-spirited style. You know, if it works for you, better. And I agree with you on that. First thing in the morning, I'm not really the person to be doing this. I'll go for a walk instead. I'm out in nature. The ideas start coming to me, the things, I get myself in that zone. You know, meditating for 10 minutes when I first wake up just doesn't work for me. I know it should, because it said somewhere in one of these instructions it should, but it doesn't. So yeah, that's the way it is. Anyone else? We're coming to the end of time. It's been such a great conversation. Thank you all so much for your time and participation here today. I've felt like I've got an immense amount out of the energy on the group, and for me personally, the feedback, and I really appreciate you all turning up and supporting the Mastermind, and I hope you've all got something out of it. Does anyone have any?
Very valuable. Very valuable. Thank you all.
Any last thoughts from anybody? Any closing pearls of wisdom?
Yes, it was beautiful. And how do you cram a whole lot of 2 chapters in 1 hour?
Well, I wasn't sure if we should just do 1 chapter, but I think we've managed to get through 2. I'll bravely say that we'll do chapters 3 and 4 next time. I should have looked ahead. I haven't actually looked. Maybe Johnny can tell me. Are they long chapters? I can't remember. I think they're all about the same kind of length.
That means some of us have to read 4 chapters.
They're about the same, and they're easy to read. And like I said, this stuff's all over the internet, so you can just watch a video. It doesn't have to be my video. Napoleon Hill himself has videos. It's amazing. This man's gone, and he's still here teaching us his voice. I can hear his voice when I read his words, and so will you.
Thank you, Johnny. You heard it from
any links, Johnny, would be welcome.
Sorry, Julie.
Any links would be welcomed.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll put them in my Creating Your Ideal Life page.
Fantastic.
Johnny and Joe, I'll add you guys to that if you want to join in that Facebook page.
That would be, well, just so I can just read it without having to go and search for it, and and then download it and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah. And look, Kobe, if you know you're going to be struggling to get 4 chapters done, skip these 2 and go back to them when you can, because you've covered them in the meeting anyway.
I'm currently reading this by the founder of Mind Valley.
Oh, right. Yeah.
This is just amazing. And so I'm reading that as well. I just love it. Just love the book. And yeah.
Thank you for that.
So, that's all right. I didn't want to bring it up earlier because that's not what this mastermind's about.
No, that's okay. Well, look, we're all here to share resources, share ideas, anything that we can add value to share with each other is all gratefully received. And, some of it's relevant, some of it might not be right at the moment, but it will become relevant at some point. So thank you all. I'm mindful of your time, so I don't want to keep going longer as we've all got other commitments as well. Thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you all same time next week. And if you've got any chat that you want to put, any realization, please just add it into the Facebook group there, because we don't have to wait a week to communicate with each other. We're all able to speak to each other.
Would you like me to put that in your group?
Please, yeah, that's great.
Okay.
All resources are welcome.
Okay.
All right, thank you guys. Have a fantastic week. Go make it happen.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.